In an industry in which unoriginality has become an unfortunate standard, unique ideas can have a jarring effect in a good way. They're a welcome break from the derivative shrapnel we weather as gamers, and for that alone, they instantly grab our attention. But by themselves, unique ideas aren't enough to make a great game. Case in point, Slam Bolt Scrappers for the PlayStation 3. If nothing else, Slam Bolt Scrappers is a unique idea. In fact, it's a collection of unique ideas, a heaping pile of bolts and scrap metal you'd never expect to see piled together. But again, without assembly as inventive as the components, that's all they are. Slam Bolt Scrappers is as difficult to explain as it is to grasp. It combines the falling block puzzle mechanics of Tetris with simple beat-em-up combat, and it pours those seemingly immiscible components over a bizarre game of tower defense. Still with me? Good, because it gets even weirder from there. You control a character equipped with little jetpacks, and the game takes place in the skies above what are basically Tetris grids. The idea is to collect blocks and drop them onto the grid below to form squares, which creates weapons. The bigger the square, the stronger the weapon. Of course, size isn't the only thing that determines the characteristics of your square weaponry. Color is just as important, and each one creates a different kind of weapon. Red blocks fire missiles, green ones launch drills, and as you drop more and more blocks of the same color, your weapons automatically grow in size. Now that's a lot to chew as it is, but Slam Bolt Scrappers keeps taking bites. See, those blocks you collect, you get those from beating up enemies. Yes, there are enemies. There's also a primary target, your opponent, which flies around the screen doing the same thing you are, only his target is you, and his tower is aimed at yours. As long as it takes to explain what Slam Bolt Scrappers is, which may be a futile effort to begin with, explaining what's wrong with the game doesn't take long at all. In fact, it may be self-evident by this point. Slam Bolt Scrappers spends its ample energy sampling as many genres and conventions as it can, without mastering any of them. For example, the weapon building, the Tetris stuff. It's a lot tougher than it should be thanks to somewhat clunky execution. It's difficult to see where your blocks are going to land when you drop them, and although you can carry several blocks at once, it's kind of a pain to scroll through them. It's also hard to make out which block you have selected, which can be frustrating in a game so hectic, especially when your entire offense depends on dropping blocks effectively. Speaking of its hectic pace, Slam Bolt Scrappers may actually be too hectic for its own good. Because you're under constant attack from your opponent, his weapons, and the enemies flying above you, finding the time to effectively build your own tower can be almost impossible. You just don't have the time. Now, that may sound appealing, but it's not. In practice, it's more frustrating than anything else. But you know, for all its flaws, Slam Bolt Scrappers definitely has an audience. This game is very refreshing to play, if only for its complexity and unique mixture of design elements. Fortunately, you can also play locally with up to 4 players, and multiplayer really is one of the game's strengths. Unfortunately, there's no online multiplayer. Slam Bolt Scrappers is a game you really want to like. There's an undeniable energy and enthusiasm on display here, and it's clear that developer Firehouse Games put some serious effort into creating a truly unique experience. It's worth checking out if only to see it for yourself, but the problem with Slam Bolt Scrappers is that it actually has too many unique experiences for its own good.